How is he?
Dwareck is sustaining, but his recovery is slow. Barukai, on the other hand, she's impeccable. Her natural healing ability is unlike any other. Look, all of her blemishes, gone.
Good. Then she is strong enough to find Vone and kill him. Fetch Erlo's flail and prepare her departure.
Griselda, you already underestimated him once before. You should stay your hand and reevaluate Barukai's worth. She is our waking warlord. We still don't know if Dwareck will be able to move, let alone fight.
I do not miscalculate. We already led Zenethstra to believe the soldiers of Sargenia killed Erlo. Vone could reveal the flaws of our alibi. We must be proactive in turning the people against him before he leads a revolution.
So, if Barukai kills Vone, then it's done. But if Vone kills her, then?
Then we'll have the reaction we need to ostracize him. Think romantically. The beloved Barukai, the woman who sits at the front in the theater of war. Zenethstra would rally behind her death and brand Vone as the agitator.
Adequately planned. Please do not take my remarks as criticism. I only speak to elicit your confidence.
There it is, the final settlement before the valiant Zenethstra. Whimborn.
Vone had heard rumors along his journey that this place has become a haven for violence. The demand for mercenaries during the One King War attracted people with glory and wealth. The ones rejected or discharged from Vanadium fell to Zenethstra. Soon after, most were declined of their services yet again. With nowhere to go, they formed small guilds on the outskirts of the city and took the more obscene jobs.
The type of work that forever stains your reputation.
Vone does not fear it. After all, violence does not like to meet the violent. The town is expectantly deserted. If it weren't for the drops of rain, the atmosphere would devour you in silence. Every building is boarded and barred. Faint flickering glows from their inside lanterns flash between the planks of wood. Except for this one place. A tavern with a lopsided roof, circled windows, and a curtained door. As Vone is drawn towards the light, he begins to hear the rhythmic tossings of music. Melody was something that used to be more common in these parts, but the instruments cannot be produced when spears and shields become a necessity. Nevertheless, war did not stop its beauty from flowing. In fact, sadness makes the song more potent. This particular form of art carries hope that cannot be muted. The drapery at the entryway waves its departure to the eloping sounds. In the window sits an orange feline, scouting for patrons, drawing attention with a wagging tail, welcoming you to the Suncat Tavern. Vone steps through the cloth into the warming pub. He sees a dozen men face down in their mugs, looking reserved and fatigued, anointing in the music that calms their soul. They are being served by two hosts, a middle-aged man and a young woman. Her name was Mila. She was gentle and kind, and worked to take care of the one relative she had left, her father. She did not know it yet, but she would soon inherit this pub, my pub, as the middle-aged man who owned it was me. I recognized Vone immediately. I had not seen him since I was the tellus age of 13. At that time, I was a well-respected swordsman and a titled prodigy in the writing of music. I witnessed his power when he brought retribution for the death of my father. Even though it has been the passing of 30 years, I never forgot his face. I idolized Vone and strived to be the kind of hero he is. His tales were not as easily shared nowadays as it was back then. They were mixed with envy and animosity, as people thought they can do more for the world if only they had his blessing of eternal life. I grabbed the reserves I was saving. I wanted to hire an assassin to kill the man who ruined my life, the man who murdered my wife and daughter, a high lord of the suns, Urlo the Malign. I waited for the cat to greet our guest first, as he always does, dancing between the feet of the seated strangers. The cat seemed to resemble a missing part of their lives, an unconditional touch from an unjudging creature. It compelled them to return this peaceful contact with a pet. The damn thing was always bringing in fleas. Hello, my old friend.
I will pay charitably to be uninterrupted in a dry seat around this tune.
I remember being pained by the realization that he did not know who I was. How could he? My appearance is completely different, even though his remained the same. I sat down with him and took a swig of my favorite brew, anything that kept me inebriated. Vone, is it not?
I guess being disturbed is something I should have expected.
You helped my family once before, Darvum Dio, killed by a corrupt council. You laid his ghost to rest, and I will forever be in your debt. But there are 2 others, Addie, my love, and our child Moga. I only live to see their revenge.
How did they die?
A Vanadium warlord, trained under Deandrist, once a good lad, taken by the Suns, Urlo the Malign.
I cannot help you. You must help yourself.
Is their death not as just as my father's? Do you deny them the right to peace because there is no reward of fame?
And what would you give to achieve this retribution?
I slowly put the heavy amount of coin on the table. This is all I have. Please.
To claim that this is what you live for, and you offer me bloodless coin? What about your time? Why should I help you obtain the opportunity for revenge when you never took the steps toward the reckoning yourself?
Shh, stay easy. I have,
But nothing! Be quiet and listen. Urlo is dead, fell by my hand. The echoes of Zenethstra must have spread to this town by now, but you are too consumed with the idea to gather enough wealth to do the things you decided not to do. I do not aid those who give up. My assistance is for those who cannot save themselves, and I do not see that in you.
After the death of Deandrist, Urlo started to stray away from the path of his honorable mentor. For Vanadium, it does not take a lifetime of service to receive honor amongst your peers. Their battles are plenty and mainly offensive. They build a quick reputation from the endless telling of stories. It's more attractive to the youth compared to the defender sworn to one city, who may have only seen a handful of conflicts. The Suns earn their rankings as they best a warrior who is perceived stronger than they. I rejected young Urlo's challenge when we met. At 17, I had already laid my weapons down and earned my living bringing music to the common folk. The rejection caused more of a mockery to him than I anticipated. His brethren said I treated him like an insignificant squire. His hatred boiled over until he must have followed me home and waited until my leave, waiting for a time to slaughter my family. He took their lives, desecrated their bodies just to get me to fight. I refused. The knowledge of Erlo's death did not make me feel any better. Vone was right. I sat back and waited for someone else to act because I lacked the guts. To go against a capital and their dearest sons would bring certain death, but I should have found a better way. Reporting the murders to the Zenethstran Council did nothing but gave them notice to cover up the atrocity. They could not take a chance in disrespecting the militia that protects their city, not when their praises were heard day in and day out. I fell apart. I did not want to be widely known anymore. I knew I would not perform again, so I created this establishment where I can be around music. A place where I can easily hide behind a drunken guise when my cowardice thoughts came back to haunt me.
My friend, I remember you as a child. You were so full of assurance. You were meant to be more than this. Your perception is skewed.
Forgive me. I will not bother you any longer. He did not let me leave. He did not let me give up again.
Your daughter is here, at your side, after all this time. It does not seem that she will ever leave. It is not her unpredicted death that stops her from joining the Genergos. It is you. She wants you to live again. Stop this fear and loathing. Stop covering the pain with ale and share it with your sittle. You may have lost the ones who are most important to you, but what about the ones you abandoned? The people you never met. The few who saw you as an idol, as you see me now.
Can you speak with Moga? Can you tell her that I love her?
It's been too long. That is beyond my power. You have to let her go. Be the person you should have been. A songwriter, a leader, and a kind friend. Even through all of this, you still host the lost and grant them a place where they can be at ease. Redren, you have to do it for you.
The conversation paused for a minute. The alluring music reset the tone. What do we look like when we are caught in the undone?
For the first 50 years, I could not identify their figure, but I am at the point now where I can almost see the eyes. They are exactly as you would imagine if anatomy did not limit our growth and the roots of our spirit could feed for eternity. Why have you not used your story to rally against the Suns?
I have tried. It would have ignited an eternal war amongst Zenethstra. People are not as readily available to dispose of themselves. They have seen what the fighting has done to their families. There must be a level of ignorance in order to recognize rewards of bravery. It is that which allows us to turn away from our morals. The coin is always used to pay for the things we do not wish to take on ourselves, and killing seems to be a thriving business. I realize as I spoke the truth, I allowed myself to adopt the same mentality. I will get better. Enjoy the Suncat Tavern. Let me know if there is anything you need. Vone stayed seated for another hour or so that night, until the performers sat down to catch up to their comrades' drunken stupor. By the time Mila and I ceased our service, Vone was gone. At that moment, I did not know if I would see him again. I did not know of his mission. But what I did know is if we crossed paths again, I would be different. I must find my aspirations and be reborn. Not for my lost family, not for my forgotten dreams, but for me. So their love for me will not be in vain. I will shine again, even in the face of death. My soul will stay free for the rest of my days. Vone took the cold path of the southernmost point of Stone Targe, the boulder fields that rest between the two peaks of the great mountain. Vanadium war machines are unable to pass through, and to travel across on foot is too exhausting for the average unit. This will lead to an unsupervised entrance to Zenethstra. After this, the way to Vanadium is unknown. He would have to spontaneously draft his plan once he enters the city. He hears something. The exacerbating sensation of being prey to a nearby beast stalls his movement.
Come out! If I am such an interest to you, then face me so we can speak.
8323 steps. That is the count of your unknown danger. I bore of the numbers, so I let you hear me. You are too easy to attack. I lower your mark.
What do you want? I do not have the time for games.
Why do you fight Vanadium? We have brought protection to this land. Is protection not good?
Vone engages and looks about.
It's just me, no one else. My brothers fear you. I hear plans to take you. I have not seen the sons fear anyone, especially the deaf.
I'm not. Who are you? How did you know I would take this path?
I am Barukai of Vanadium, the waking warlord if Dwareck should fall. Your scent stains Erlo's flail. I tracked you first, then smelled you here. Radel taught me how. Too easy to find. I lower your mark.
Sons do not scout alone. Either you lie or you defy the code. What is it you want from me?
I already asked, and you did not tell. Why do you fight Vanadium?
That question is not easy for me to answer. I do not belong in discussions of what is sin and what is just. I do not have the reasoning of the ghosts that guide me. I just have their souls, and I know them to be pure. These souls were prematurely taken, and they are stuck in the undone. The great Genner Ghost guides the dead to me. They brought me to Erlo, and led me to Andrus Keep. I warned Vanadium to stop their misdeeds, and they answered by attacking my homeland.
I lower your mark.
I can't imagine it could be lowered much more.
You want revenge? But you walk into a trap. They are expecting you.
Are you here to tell them of my whereabouts?
No, am supposed to, but orders smell foul. I not listen to leaders who don't join battles.
Then why did you seek me?
I thought to be strongest warrior, but I lose to Dwareck. Still much to learn. I could beat him. The ceremony cheat power. Never able to match him again. They put something in him. They put a Mimos lamb inside him. I go to face what makes them afraid. To become better.
Not Mimos lamb. Mimos, the Bedlam. A voice from Erlo's corpse brought the name of that demon into my existence. Was Erlo a part of the same ceremony?
He was.
They are putting demons into soldiers. How is that possible? How do they have a link to the Nativity?
Before shadows, Vanadium about strength of one brings together many. Now they are fraud and tricks. Are you stronger than Demon Dwareck? I learned from you.
Show me the way and I will slay Dwareck just as I slayed Erlo. They are terrified because they know I am the hand of the Genner Ghosts.
I guide you. You teach me. That is our agreement.
I am not a tutor. You will not enjoy the path I walk.
Well, you walk to me. I like me. I know secret ways no one will see. Must get Radel first. He will help us.
If you think to betray me, then you and Radel will be the first to die.
I raise your mark. Follow quickly.
During the One King War, Zenethstra granted the Sons of Vanadium temporary landholdings. A small forge, an armory, as well as a lavish hostel. After Zenethstra was liberated, this agreement was extended and gave them permanent ownership. Zenethstra scaled back their forces and gave the funds to its more effective militia. Their protection was written in treaty ever since. The Sons invested their earnings into businesses that produced weapons, armor, and developed new technology for large-scale encounters. The original smithy was made inoperative, but there is a secret passageway that remains in use. One of the forges was constructed over an old well, and when this was first acquired by the Sons, they connected this well to the tunnels of what would eventually become the hideout for the Shadows. Moving throughout the massive city, rays of twilight begin to recolor the sky, converting to dusk. Barukai sneaks through the district with silent steps, completely camouflaged with her surroundings. She quietly barked at Vone just to drop hints of where she is and where she will be.
Here, this is the one.
They both stare at the forge in the dark warehouse.
Radel first, then I bring you to Dwareck. He still heals in recover room.
They crawl through the sooted stones and drop into the narrow well. Several openings show leads to walkways and slides.
This one. Do not touch.
Barukai points to a slab, perfectly flat and unnatural for this place.
Rock trap. Will collapse tunnel. To kill or keep out. Radel, this way.
There are numerous doors down this path, many rows and columns that go 4 stories high. Wooden shanks are cemented into the wall for occupants to climb to their dormitory. Each room is carved through soil and held together by motored gravel and roots. Barukai's cubby is on the bottom right. She opens the door and calls for Radel. Out comes a black and silver beast, projected to be 250 pounds of solid muscle. Eyes almost hidden by the heavy skin on its forehead. Vone draws his weapon.
What kind of monster?
Do not scare. He eats when scared.
The badger slowly walks to Vone. Its wiry hairs sound like tiny cracking whips as its loose skin shuffles. Radel rubs against him and brushes his face across mandible. A sudden static shock jolts Vone, taking him by surprise.
Radel not trust in no outsider. You are strange.
A low-tone yawn displays a deformity of numerous rows of teeth.
I was not expecting this.
Ha! No one does. We move.
Vone leads the way into the high dome central room. Hanging overhead are the wooden tusks of the Zenethstran tree. The perimeter is circled with stone pews to house 1,000. He stands on a section of broken tiles where Cymer fell during the Rot Bomb event. The ground quakes, rattling apart. Tellus is split asunder, showing past the land, through the oceans and its core, showing the violet light of the Genergos. Surrounded by red flares and heated blues, they swirl and cycle into the light, corrupting it, violating its purity. A giant hand reaches out and grabs Vone. The 100 mouths of a demon laughs, a gurgling sound as if it's drowning in its own chaos.
Barukai, run!
He looks around and realizes he is not in the same room, transported to another realm. Spiraling in, pulled apart to the hells of the Nativity, Vone jerks the cloak from the demonic clutch and throws it on. He grabs Mandible and saws his way through the fingered enclosure. Blood shooting in endless streams, he thrashes about, screaming all the way through the fright and exertion.
Vone, what's wrong?
Where are you?
The smacking sound of lips pucker open on the many maws of the beast. Teeth shoot out from the light and pierce through Vone.
No! Was that an illusion?
The blue light dwindles to a flush white. The powers of the Wraith have been drained.
So, this is the Wraithsayer, who defeated Urlo, the first body of Mimos. I will take great pleasure in roasting you for my personal meal. Barukai, I am ashamed of your betrayal. You of all warriors carried the most promise. Your torture will be my entertainment as I devour your new friend. Come to me.
Nah, don't think so.
Sigma sends out a psionic punishment to the signals of Barukai's brain.
Come here now!
Her behavior is not altered. Sigma's control has no effect.
Radel, make ready. We attack with Vone.
Die! Denying me bequeath a darker fate than death. Dwareck, I summon you. Bring forth your newfound power.
The temperature drops, concentrated just in front of Vone. The heat in the locale is pushed away from the cold cloud that twists itself into a door of mist. The shine around the frame is the burnt orange of a setting sun. Out of the particles of this magic door cuts through a blade, jagged and crude, half covered in rust but seems well fortified from its fist-sized depth. Foot after foot, the redundant sword makes the massive room feel small. The peak falls down, pulverizing the stones as easy as a club would crack eggs. The wielder finally begins to show, stepping into this dimension. Dwareck, striving to hold his new weapon, an ancient FullBlade, crafted from the era of giants, the Wraithsayer blade. Translated, the weapon of unquenchable greed.
Barukai brought Vone here to kill you, Dwareck. She cannot accept her defeat. Show them what it means to oppose Vanadium. Spiteful coward! You betray us and forsake our fallen commander! That man made you family!
The FullBlade is brought to rest across Dwareck's shoulders, a stance ready to engage. Vone jumps in front of Barukai, maxilla and mandible ready to taste demonic blood.
You, Vone, I am Dwareck Zenjaza, first of my name and the end of yours. The masters I serve will show you the hells of eternal suffering.
Vone did not wait for his speech to complete. Dwareck's death must be prompt.
Dirty bitch bastard!
The Wraithsayer blade is bumped off with a shrug of his back and catapults two clunky swipes towards the party. The first was dodged, nearly slicing their skulls at eye level. The other was deflected by the bite of Vone's weapons, spiking it to the floor. Brittle rust fragments off the blade and stuck into one of Radel's eyes. He tries to claw it out. Barukai leaps over Vone, lands on the sword, and uses it as a bridge, escalating a drop kick to Dwareck's chest. He is separated from his weapon, falling backwards, tripping over his feet. Barukai, prone with the sword, rolls away into a somersault and re-engages. Sigma's telekinetic powers lift the weapon and fence Dwareck off to safety.
Do not disappoint me. You are to surpass Urlo. I am disgusted with this delay. Brace your body for Mimos. If it tears you apart, then so be it.
He opens a channel as wide as the universal laws allow.
Vone feels the raw power of the nativity. The Genergos is in pain.
Yes! More! More!
Dwareck levitates with the FullBlade. His bones snap, shoulders stretched apart, dislocating. His arms sag and grow wide. The spine elongated and hunches at the neck.
I am the flesh chosen to wield the hands of hell!
The iris glows red. A trail is left behind, following his gaze as he swiftly covers the battlefront. The monstrous blade is tossed around like a rapier. His steps are as light as the wind. Radel jumps on Dwareck's back, biting into inflamed muscle and raking flesh with its hind legs. He holds the towering sword out with one hand towards Vone. He grabs the badger with the other, driving it down like a misbehaved child. He kicks Radel, pushing him away, and leaps towards the Wraithsayer, while Vone is successfully blocking the deadly strikes. Each impact steals the strength of his body. Despite his grounded footing, the collisions slide him yards apart. Barukai tries to shake her fear, but with every punch and kick, she realizes how futile her attempts are. For the first time in a long time, she feels useless, weakened. Her entire life was a bid for power, and now she is afraid.
Yes! Yes! Ascendancy! We have found the perfect vessel! Kill them all! Vone, or should I say, Belvo. I've waited so long. I've watched the birth and destruction of stars, waiting for the day to bring your demise.
Vone tries to block out the trickery of this demon and focuses on a plan of escape. Dwareck is too quick to try and navigate back through the tunnels.
Radel, keep fighting! Die with honor!
No! Stop!
Barukai and Radel rush in. Dwareck drapes the blade on his shoulders and sticks out his palm. She high jumps to a forward flip, building momentum into a dropping heel. Radel lashing claws and bites to his gut, but the great beast is being deflected by the bare hand of the demon. As the kick smashes down, he twists the blade broad and pumps it overhead. Her attack is repelled. She tries to drive through, but she would have an easier time trying to stomp a mountain flat than to break through this blade. Falling to her butt, she scurries to a retreat. Building energy from its rapid movements, the static Radel sets off an electric discharge, spraying from its hairs and surging from its mouth. The lightning lashes aimlessly in sporadic streams. Dwareck shuts it down by beating its face with the hilt of Ray Xiao Xin, and a reverse slash gashes Barukai's thigh before she can leave his reach. Hidden within the action, Vone has flanked his foe. Cold steel lays on Dwareck's neck, dual weapons posture the scissors of execution. He thrusts into the decapitation.
Play fair, you rat!
A psionic freezing of his thoughts compel him not to act. Dwareck twists his neck, cracking behind, headbutts Vone and recedes from the strike. Sigma's power loses its hold. Vone whiffs the air and feels his nose crush and spurt blood.
It's all for naught! Everything you do! Everything you've done!
Vone's demeanor shows the room a tone of defeat.
Barukai, leave. Warn the people of Zenethstra. You can still set things right. I will hold him off as long as I can. Go! There's nothing anyone can do to stop the suns now. This planet, this entire planet will bow to its new masters. Maybe, but as you force Tellus into submission, the nativity of demons will once again walk free. And you will be the one who kneels. They are using you, fool! How could you not see it? They will welcome me as their own. the one who paved the walkway from the void. They will molest your soul for eons and laugh about the being that thought he can push his way into their darkness. There is no loyalty. They do not play to favors. Dwareck, rip out his tongue.
Vone looks past the approaching Dwareck and takes comfort when he realizes Barukai and Radel are gone. He looks at his blades, mainly maxilla.
One more fight, my friends, then we can lay to rest.
Dwareck sticks Varaciao Sin 3 feet in the ground and drags it through. The friction of the metal grinding stone sends sparks all around, burning the dead roots of the majestic tree. He rips it up and outward to sunder past the jaws of their conductor. Maxilla and mandible held together. The impact was barely felt. Vone opens his eyes to see 10 arms around his, holding various weapons, faint and pale. The ghosts, they saved him. Dwareck releases one hand from the blade and grabs the ethereal spirits with his offhand. The soft light turns to ruby as they are being absorbed through the eyes and mouth of the demon. They are being pulled from the undone and sent directly to the eternal abyss.
Let go! There is no returning from the nativity! Just let me die!
The spirits push Vone through Dwareck's body. For a second he saw the rotting soul of its true inhabitant. The weeping innocence of Dwareck's former self. Left on this plane is just its memories held by few. Vone re-emerges on the other side by the open path. He runs through as Dwareck devours the souls that saved him. Vone sees the plate Barukai warned him of. He rushes past and boots some rocks to trigger the delicate trap. It sets off, and the collapsing of the tunnel ensues. It took a week from when Vone entered the pub to collect my thoughts and carve the path to my new life. I will grant ownership of the Suncat to Mila, leave her with the deed in my savings. May it bring peace of mind to her and aid her fathers. It occurred to me how little I paid attention to others when I was so secluded in myself. I did not know his sickness. I didn't even know his name. But perhaps this gift will purchase the cure he needs. No more will I be that person. I stared at every corner of my home as I prepared my permanent leave. This grungy place felt more alluring when I accepted my fate. Now I am eager to part from it. I went to the lower pantry where I kept a chest full of things I wanted to keep out of sight. Within it, I knew my memories awaited me. As I opened it, a gleam from my youth shone off a suit of royal armor. A Zenethstran cape still linked to the shoulders, all too small for me now, but I had to see it. The chest preserved them perfectly. I remembered so much of my history, who I was, what I strive for, the harsh lessons of my great father Darvum, and what's this? My sigil. I forgot I had placed it within the plate mail. The strings, they still glow. This light was searching for me. So many conditions I must redress. But I was not consumed by sadness, for now is the time of restoration. I picked up my instrument and sat back against the shelves. I played and played throughout the night. I played as I did for my child. I played for the moment I married my love. I played for my father and our lost companions. For my mother who died in labor, for Mila and this town's hope. I played for my life. My fingers bled. I fell out of tune. I lost my rhythm. I had lost my hatred. I refound true purpose. And then I played some more. This concludes the Wraith Redress. I want to thank you for listening. Please fall back into your imagination as you focus on the finale, the path beyond. Where will you go? How will you get there? And what drives you? Is it treasure? Is it morals? Is it power, wonder, and glory? What trials will arise to try and stop you? How will you smash them? And who will aid you? Who will betray you? May your adventure be so great that it pains the world when the time comes for your final chapter to close. Remember me, and I will remember you.